Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Color Commentary Podcast. We're in week 9, and this is episode 11. I'm Ramiro Castro Jr., and my co-host today is Jason J-Mar Martinez. Welcome back. I missed you, man. Your fantasy seasons and weeks have come and gone, and I have no idea. I remember you starting strong. Where are you now?
Well, I started my season off super strong, 2-0, which is always a confidence booster. But then I lost 4 games in a row. That was not a confidence booster. And it's not that my team was necessarily playing bad. I just made some risky decisions that didn't work out. And I had some good opponents that I was going against. But luckily, I'm on a 2-game winning streak. So I have a 4-4 record, and my opponent this week also has a 4-4 record. So it should be like a good make or break for either of us. We'll see what happens, right?
That's a great writing of the ship there. I mean, going 4-4 after a 4-game losing streak, I mean, that's a dream to come back and compete. I know some of your team. I'm guessing Jalen Hurts helped. I'm guessing Breece Hall might have helped if you started him last week with his 32 points.
Yes, absolutely. Breece Hall came through in the clutch big time for me. And so did the Buccaneers defense, which I got on waivers, which was awesome. I just, I said, oh, that's a good defense to start against the New Orleans Saints. And they ended up scoring a whopping 33 points for me, which was great because, I have Drake London on my team, and meaning the Atlanta Falcons, pulled him from the active roster about like an hour before game time. Like, it was gnarly. Like, I was like refreshing my Google page to get updates because he was in my starting lineup and he was projected to score a lot of points. And then they declared him inactive, like literally like an hour before the ball was going to get kicked off. So it is what it is. I replaced him with Hollywood Brown, who scored a big fat 0 for me. Targeted, I believe, only twice, but he did not have any catches on that Monday night game against the Washington Commanders. So I got lucky. I held on to my lead, even though Hollywood Brown scored a big goose egg. But I have to thank guys like Jalen Hurts, Breece Hall, and the Buccaneers defense for keeping me afloat.
I mean, I've seen teams that had both Breece Hall and the Buccaneers defense, and they scored like 150, 160 points if they didn't start a goose egg like you unfortunately had to. So that sounds exciting, man. Like, this week, are you keeping the Bucs? Like, what are you going to do with your defense?
I've already gotten rid of the Bucs, actually. They're on a bye week. And so I unfortunately had to sell them off, even though they scored 33 points for me. It's so rare when defenses kind of when lightning strikes twice like that they'll just like go back to back with like high scoring defensive efforts. It's always just this metric that goes, either they score 33 points or 2 points, right? They have a pretty tough schedule coming up, the Bucs. So I decided to offload them. I still have the Cleveland Browns stashed in my roster on the bench. They also have a bye week this week, but I held on to Cleveland because they've got like the 3rd best defense in the league right now, and they've got a pretty easy schedule. So I decided to hold on to the Browns because they could end up doing some damage for me, which I would appreciate. But I was lucky enough to pick up the Lions defense this week. They're going up against Minnesota. They're banged up. There's issues at quarterback, but we shall see. It's a game that's at Minnesota, but it's a dome. But I've got the Lions defense starting for me this week.
Straight off the dome, we got JJ McCarthy starting. Not excited. I have Justin Jefferson on 2 of my teams, and he's performed like a wideout too. He gets 70 yards, 6 catches, which ends up being around 10 points in a half PPR league. I'm not dropping him. I'm not moving him. I saw that Carson Wentz had a great connection with Jordan Addison, who I also have and wasn't starting. And so at least I think Justin Jefferson will get the targets, but how good will those targets be? JJ McCarthy, for all intents and purposes, has played 1 good quarter in the 2 games he's had.
Well, and also the good thing about that is that, I mean, the Vikings should have been starting JJ McCarthy, I think, a couple weeks ago, even if he was ready to go. I don't know if he was ready to go a couple weeks ago or even last week, but Carson Wentz experiment did not look good against the Chargers last week. That was a pretty frustrating game for him, and it was tough to watch him struggle through that. So Even though I'm starting the Lions defense, it's the healthiest start for me since that was the best defense on the waiver wire. JJ McCarthy performed some magic against your Bears that first week. So I'm not ready to just already write the Lions defense, just having a big success against Minnesota just yet.
There's a risk there, right? The last team that played them, the Chargers, did really well, and their defense scored a lot of points. But you don't know if you have Justin Jefferson on the team. It's like what happened to me when I started the Steelers defense going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. That dragon hadn't woken up yet, and then they scored 36 points, and the Steelers end up scoring me a -2. So, like, I want to stay away from power offenses, even just power players, because you never know. And so I was lucky enough to get the Jaguars defense, who are up against your Raiders, and it just looks like a lost season. And so I'm hoping that they come through for me.
I mean, that's a wise pick. In fact, they were also on my waiver wire list in case the Lions got scooped up by another owner in my league. I mean, the Raiders don't score points. It's just that simple, They don't score points. So
that's their new sub headline when you're at the games. Like, it says, Oakland Raiders, we don't score points.
As a diehard longtime Raiders fan, it's just always so frustrating year after year seeing that they come up with these half-ass solutions and like at the beginning of the year, I was like, Geno Smith, really? But then you kind of get, just kind of
get behind it.
You get enveloped in all the hype, and you're just like, oh, maybe he is the guy. And then they actually play the game, and then you're like, why didn't we draft any quarterback with a pulse? We had an opportunity to draft so many guys, but it'd have been neat to have some of these dudes on our team, but obviously not. Womp womp.
You all are a quarterback away. I think you are. The Saints aren't, right? So the Saints are in a much worse position, in my opinion, and they have Spencer Rattler, who they're sitting now, and they're starting, Tyler Show, who I don't think is going to put on any kind of a show for them, right? So he's just not the answer. It kind of looks like they're tanking to get a first-round pick high enough for them.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I mean, unfortunately, like most teams, right? Like they just have like a couple glory years and then they just fade into obscurity. The Saints definitely seem like that's a team that is going to take a while for them to get back to any sort of prominence. Same with my Raiders. There's a bunch of teams I think that fit that bill. I mean, I'm always disappointed in the Arizona Cardinals too, who seem like they have so much talent, but they just do nothing with it.
If I were a Cardinals fan, and I have cousins that are, I'd be so frustrated because that team looks like it should be great, and they'd have some pieces, and I think Kyler Murray just isn't the guy. Like, I think he's just one of those middle-of-the-pack quarterbacks that can have moments of brilliance. The jury's still kind of out on Trevor Lawrence, but he seems to be like that too. It's like he can be good, and then he's not, and it's frustrating. Caleb Williams has a bad one, and people are already ready to change their minds on Caleb. I haven't. I think he'll do great this week up against the Bengals. I have him starting instead of Jalen Hurts. So I'm curious who your backup quarterback is, since you also have Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, my backup quarterback is, drumroll, Caleb Williams.
We did the same thing.
So we did the same thing. Look at that synergy from our color commentary podcasters. So yeah, I've got Caleb Williams, but I tell you what, he could be part of my coulda, shoulda, woulda segment. Because yes, I'm gonna say it because unfortunately, I feel as if, gosh, man, at least from a fantasy perspective, he really laid an egg against New Orleans, and that's a team that he maybe should have scored a lot of fantasy points against, but that did not happen. And then they have the bye, so he's coming fresh off the bye. Hopefully he picks it up. Look, I'm starting him at quarterback this week, but if I could turn the pages of time back, I would have.
If I could turn back time,
if I could
pick up a different quarterback.
I mean, when I see Drake May doing his thing, I'm like, man, I should have drafted that guy.
He's looking like a pimp. He had a bad couple of weeks, and now he's great. I've seen people drop him in leagues, and I don't know why.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That's insane. They just lost the faith so early. But he's a top 5 quarterback. He could finish in the top 3. He's looking great. So if you have him, congrats. You got him later than everyone else, and your team's probably looking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and then I'm like, oh, I could have drafted Matthew Stafford. I could have drafted
Mm.
Goff, Daniel Jones. It's frustrating, man. But it is what it is. I've got Caleb, and it's the bye week for my guy Jalen Hurts. So this is exactly what you plug and play and get a backup quarterback for, just in case they don't get hurt. Right? It's for the
Mm.
bye. It's for the bye week. So here we are. Caleb Williams supposed to projected to score 24 points against Cincinnati. Let's see how he does. I'm just putting good energy out to the pigskin and the football gods.
If Justin Fields did so well, Caleb Williams should do better. Who knows points wise? This team can win on the ground by itself. Just give DeAndre Swift the ball. And the defense is not good either. So if Joe Flacco doesn't play, wheels up. The Bears are going to do great. If Joe Flacco does play, you are in danger, and so am I, of him dudding. And it could happen. I've been looking at Kyler Murray, who's been injured and is on waivers, as a potential replacement. But again, like I'm kind of trading one problem for another one, right? Like I'm not getting a solid choice either way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, this is a very strange week because I have so many guys that are on bye. Breece Hall has a bye. Jerry Judy, who I don't know why the hell he's still on my team, has
That
a
is his
bye.
nickname. I dropped him. We talked about him about, yeah, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Especially when Joe Flacco got traded, I was like, I'm out. This is not happening. We were right about Chris Olave. Like Chris Olave didn't have the most amazing week, but the volume's still there. But Jerry Judy, it just never happened.
Yeah, I mean the thing about Judy, the reason why I'm keeping him on my bench is because he does get targets. I haven't started him yet or haven't had the choice to start him yet, but he gets targets. It didn't really happen that last game, but people bounce back and who knows? I mean, Dylan Gabriel could eventually ease into that role, or Shadur Sanders might get the keys to the Ferrari, and he might have a connection with Judy. So we'll see. He's still on my bench for now, but I'm not happy about it. But to go back to my original point, I mean, Kate Otten, my most reliable tight end at this point, because I'm starting Mark Andrews this week, who's still miraculously on my team. But Kate Otten is on a bye. The Browns defense is on a bye. Jalen Hurts is on a bye. So, I mean, I'm just, I've got a very sort of fragile starting
Yes.
lineup this week. Hopefully nobody gets hurt in practice. And I've slotted in Drake London as my starting flex option right now, but he hasn't been clear to play yet. He is still listed as questionable from the injury he's been dealing with. So I'm just going to wait till game time and get the report. And if not, I probably need to start David Montgomery or maybe I'll pick up somebody else on the waivers. We'll see.
David Montgomery has been tricky. It hasn't been Sonic and Knuckles. It's been all Sonic, and we're waiting for the Bruiser to come back. Have you thought about trading him? Do you feel like it's just too good of an insurance policy for your
I
Jameer
have,
Gibbs?
I
Yeah.
have, and I've been talking to some owners in my league about potentially, trading him, but I just haven't found a trade that I feel would be of equal value. So it's not like I'm not like desperate to get him off my team. I would rather, just be patient and get the appropriate value for him, especially if, another positional player just starts dipping off or somebody gets hurt. So I'm just stashing him for now. And who knows, maybe he'll have a good week this week against Minnesota. He had a pretty bang up, awesome week. Gosh, was that against the Baltimore Ravens? I think that game was. Yeah, I think, yeah, he
They
had
were
a really,
just pulling ahead, and with 9 carries, he just had like 100+ yards and a touchdown. It was crazy.
yeah. So, I mean, hey, like I'm just going to stash him for now. And, there's also just the in case in the event of something bad happens to Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah, I think you have to keep him because you have Gibbs. As soon as Gibbs goes down, hopefully he doesn't. You already have the backup, and it's in a fantastic one, right? So this is something that I think newer fantasy owners aren't aware of, is that if you have a great running back, you should probably have their handcuff, their next man up, because if you don't, you're just going to lose out on that backfield. And the backfield is great because the O line is great. Like, why is Jameer Gibbs great? Well, he's in a great situation with a great O-line. You put somebody else in there, like a David Montgomery, they're going to do almost as well. And so that's what's true about Saquon Barkley. We saw Tank Bigsby go in, and he gets 100 yards. And they didn't need to go back to Barkley. But if you have Saquon Barkley, you should get Tank Bigsby. Don't miss out. Like it happened to Cam Scatterbo. He got injured. And now everyone's chasing Tyrone Tracy. Whoever picked him up is now got a RB1 potentially, right? And so you don't want to miss out. You want to have insurance. If you have room on your bench, you can't do it with every player, but there are certain backfields where it's really, really worth it. Philly's one for sure. I would say Detroit is right up there too, and you already have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for now, I'm just going to hold on to David Montgomery because of that. And we'll see, man. Hopefully he'll produce. But I mean, the big question about my lineup this week is Drake London. If he's ready to perform, great. I'm going to leave him in there. If not, I got to swap him out again, which is always the uncomfortable thing to do with a star wide receiver like Drake London.
That was crazy. I mean, I was right there with you. I have him on my Yahoo league, and I did not expect it. I had him in my lineup. I have a conundrum at wideout. I have 4 startable players, and then it made it easy. I put Devonta Smith in, who did pretty good. And so Drake London is just that kind of player that can score 20 or 6 points, and I hope that he comes back and he's back to scoring 20 points again, because it's a high value pick. He was number 2 for me, and I miss having that point total. And Devonta Smith, as I saw, boomed. If I started him a couple of weeks ago, I'd be sitting at 6-2, not 5-3. I'm still happy about that league, but you never know. Like I'm 4-4 in my ESPN league, and I could show you how that breaks down. Like here we are in this matchup. My opponent had Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley, Rashad White, Marvin Mims, Tez Johnson, Kate Otten, Breece Hall, Alex Singleton, the Panthers, and Jake Elliott. And 2 players, 3, really scored all the points. It was Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, and Bo Nix. And that was enough to topple me over. I started Rico Dowdle because a lot of my running backs were not playing. I sat Quinshon Judkins. I didn't start Fannin, and I should have. It's going to be one of my should-haves. He did great. He had a touchdown. I put in Dalton Schultz because he did great the week before. Don't chase points, everybody. It usually doesn't work out. Roma Dudes, they did just okay, right? Like, it was a very disappointing game against Baltimore when they were up against a backup. Like, what gives? Like, this Bears team keeps changing on me, and I expected so much better from them, and so that's hurting Roma Dunze's value. A.J. Brown is hurt. I've been betting on him all year, and he doesn't show up here, right? So all around, I'm scoring points, which is good. It just wasn't enough to win when 3 of his players booms, specifically 2, and I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, to that point, it's always like a scary option when you have to offload your star wide receiver. That's why I put Marquise Hollywood Brown in, and he scored that goose egg. But luckily for me, I had scored enough points where I didn't need any additional points from him, but it was enough for me to get rid of him. I got Malik Washington off the waiver wire, and I dropped Marquise Brown because now that Rashee Rice is making more of a stamp on the wide receiving core in Kansas City, it seems like Hollywood Brown is fading a little bit, and he might have flashes of brilliance as the season continues, but I just want a little bit more consistency at that position, especially if guys like Drake London, get hurt for a week.
It's tough when you know that I was sitting on Rashee Rice. He came up like a Pokemon, and he's going to change the team. I have Travis Kelce on another league, and he did great this week, not great the week before. And so a Rashee Rice is a game changer. You never know how the team will be impacted, and wideouts targets go down. Hollywood Brown, unfortunately, his value is going to stay that way because of the value of Rashee Rice. He's a favorite target of Mahomes, and so is Kelce. So I was fortunate to see that Kelce was still valued and still getting targets, and he had a great game. I expected him to have a few of those this year. I drafted him in the 6th round. I was wondering if that was a good pick. There's a few late round tight ends like Dallas Goedert who are killing it. Like, he's the 2nd best tight end right now. He had 2 touchdowns. It's just all he does right now is catch touchdowns from the Eagles' Devonta Smith did okay. I ended up winning this game by 20 points, and on the backs of like a J.K. Dobbins, who did great against the Dallas Cowboys. That's such a smash opponent to have. So if your running back is up against Dallas, like Bam Knight is, expect good things. So, I'm proud of this team. I hear, what you're saying, like Drake London's here scoring me no points. Here's Caleb Williams waiting for this next week. I picked up Rashard Smith because I was hearing lots of good things. He had more usage and he fumbles the ball, and he might get an opportunity this week with Isaiah Pacheco being hurt, but we're not sure. So this is the time to sort of take some swings, look at some running backs, see the positions. Rashad White has disappointed 2 weeks in a row, and I actually just let him go for Bam Knight, and I'm hoping he scores more than his projected 7 points because of the matchup against the Cowboys.
I've used almost all of my waiver wire pickups this week. I mean, for necessity reasons, I needed a defense for sure, and I needed a backup wide receiver just in case Drake London doesn't start this week. So I fulfilled my needs, and so I'm still being patient, right? Like I've still got, look, Kate Otten is on a bye, so I've got Mark Andrews starting this week. Lamar Jackson is back. Hopefully, even though Mark Andrews has had a disappointing season thus far, he had one nice week. Hopefully he can replicate the magic of that 1 week and save my game this week.
100%. When I talk about our teams, we have so many players in common. We've invested in Breece Hall, and he finally shows up, and he might get traded. And so I do not want to trade him yet. I want to see how in real life football, if he gets let go. But there's a part of me that wants to trade high. Like, hey, is he ever going to score this many points again? Could I get something for him? Does your league trade? Like some leagues I can see people trade more often. So do they trade in your league?
Yeah, they do. And there hasn't really been any trades thus far in my league yet, although I do talk to the other owners on my downtime, just, just kind of hang time. And I hear rumblings of people who have offered trades, but have rejected the trades. Like I said, there's been rumblings even for me. I need to see equal value at least, where
Right.
I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good trade. I can't just give up, just because I have a pretty decent player that's collecting dust on the bench. I'm not going to get rid of them just for show off that I got a new player. Just for me, the value's got to be there.
Speaking of trades, I have one I'd love for you to look at. So it's in my
Great.
ESPN league. I'd have to trade away A.J. Brown, and I would get Cortland Sutton and Kenneth Walker III as my running back in wideout. I'm very tempted. A.J. Brown has a hamstring injury. Cortland Sutton is a pretty good replacement for A.J. Brown, and I am higher on Kenneth Walker. He's a great running back. He just hasn't been unlocked yet. And just so you know, my team has been hurting. Like I have Amari and Hampton on IR. I have Quinshon Judkins who may be hurt. Rico Dowdle, for some reason, isn't being trusted by his own team to be the lead running back when his numbers are off the charts. I currently am starting DeAndre Swift, who also may have an injury that can hinder him. And right now I picked up Bam Knight off the waivers. So I am tempted, J-Mar. What do you think of this trade?
So wait up, it's a 2-for-1 trade?
2-for-1. A.J. Brown for Cortland Sutton and Kenneth Walker III.
I mean, look, if you went in and did the metrics and did the the pros cons on that one, I think you make that deal. I think so
too.
Yeah.
I love AJ Brown. I have songs to the guy. I believe in him. I wouldn't be out of the AJ Brown business. I have him in my sleeper league, but this trade is just too sweet. I like Cortland Sutton a lot. I need running back depth. I think that Kenneth Walker will at least score 10 points-ish, and there might be better weeks ahead. So I appreciate your help in that. I've been thinking about it, and I think I'll do the deal.
Well, and let's look at the kind of the brass tacks of Philly's offense, right? I mean, look, so many guys score points on that team that sometimes it's just hard for A.J. Brown to shine. And I'm looking at, look, he's had maybe 2 stellar weeks, couple average weeks, and then some duds.
It's been inconsistent.
It's been inconsistent, but it's not his fault. It's just the Philly's got so many weapons. It is what it is. And they score with the tush push. And, they got a running quarterback that scores touchdowns in addition to the best running back, one of the best running backs in the league. That being said, look, Cortland Sutton's in a pretty crowded wide receiving core. But he gets points. He gets points. It's not that he gets points every week, but he gets enough points and, in a kind of consistent manner. And then you got Kenneth Walker, who does sort of the same thing. So, I mean, that's a very tempting trade, one that I would probably say yes to.
100%. I'm going to look up Cortland Sutton live just to see his schedule. I will miss A.J. Brown when the Eagles face the Cowboys because that is just fireworks. So, he should do great then. You're right. Like, there are other wideouts that are showing up. Trey Franklin has done great recently. And so we see, speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, like, here we are, he only got 8 points there. But otherwise, like, you're seeing way more consistent production from him. So I'm trading for consistency. Houston could be okay. Vegas should be great. Kansas City won't be awesome unless they're behind, which they probably will be. So he could do great. We have Vegas again. And then for the fantasy playoffs, we have Green Bay, Jacksonville, and Kansas City. So it could be great. I think that, again, the 2-for-1. If it were Cortland Sutton for A.J. Brown, I wouldn't be 100% sure. But the fact that I also get a starting running back out of the deal, someone who right now I think he's kind of selling low, but maybe not. Like, Charbonnet has eaten his lunch. And so it's a bit scary. Like, I was high on this guy. I talked about it during our draft episodes. I wanted to pick him, and I ended up going with Amari and Hampton.
I mean, the thing about this interesting trade that you've got on your plate right now is that Cortland Sutton for A.J. Brown already is a compelling sort of offer, but then you put a little cherry on top of that sundae with Kenneth Walker, then it's like, ooh, okay, then maybe I should make this trade.
100%. I'm looking at a running back who got 17 carries at Houston, didn't turn him into much, but he's getting more than 10 carries a game. Sometimes it ends up working great and he gets the touchdown. If he doesn't get the touchdown, he's back down to earth. But again, my options are getting thin. Injury is not helping. Quinshad Junkins and DeAndre Swift are both on the injury watch list. And so I love that Swift is performing now, but that might not be always the case. I wish I had Kyle Monungai to back him up. Again, the advice I just gave, I'm losing out on that backfield because I don't have the backup of DeAndre Swift, but Kenneth Walker would work just fine, right? So I could plug him in and feel good and outlast everybody, because that's really what we're doing. We're just trying to survive week to week and deal with every week where there's injuries. J-Mar, I want to show you the Battle of the Titans. Pedro and I faced each other in my sleeper league, and we were hyping it up. It was going to come down to A.J. Brown versus Cam Scattaboo, and unfortunately, A.J. Brown was out with an injury, so I had to start Stephon Diggs and Chris Olave instead, and I was having a conundrum. Should I start Breece Hall? Should I start J.K. Dobbins? And luckily, I picked Breece Hall. I kept thinking, if there's going to be a smash week, it's going to be against Cincinnati. Even though Breece Hall hasn't been showing up, I knew he was playing for either his job at the Jets or to be traded away. And what can you say about the guy? He had a passing touchdown. He had 18 carries, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was the offense, and they ended up winning that game in a fantastic fashion. And so that was part of my victory, was his boom performance.
Breece Hall in that game didn't get those points till late, and so I was worried about it, actually. So I was pleasantly surprised towards the end of that game when he started producing, and producing in a big way, right? He was a threat not only from the ground, but through the air, not only as a receiver, but as a passer as well, too. So always refreshing and fun to get points from your running back when he's throwing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's when you know he's just got talent. That guy's just oozing talent. I think it'd be a mistake for them to let him go, but maybe they're just blowing up the team. Who knows? Like, Pedro had a lot of things not go right for him. His quarterbacks were both hurt. So he has Michael Penix Jr. and Lamar Jackson on his team, and he couldn't start either of them. He went to Kirk Cousins hoping for magic. It did not happen, right? And so I wanted to bring up, if he were able to come, that had he started Joe Flacco, he would have beat me. And so it all just comes down to one decision. Another awful thing that happened, and I don't like winning this way. Cam Scatterboo went down with an injury, and he'll be done for the season. So what a talent, what a guy. He was beloved by his team. He's not dead, but like he's done for the season. And I traded him away, and I started to regret it. Like AJ Brown did great last week, but now he's hurt. And so, I didn't like winning this way. Pedro started Kamani Vidal as well, which was a risk, and he boomed. And so that's how we started the week. And I was like, I'm going to lose this game. Like, things are not looking great for me. Pittman showed up for him. Goddard showed up for him. Pedro has 2 great tight ends, and he put Kittle in the flex. He showed up. And so a valiant effort that really just came down to Breece Hall being the difference maker for me on my side. And other players did great. Jalen Hurts, of course. Olave didn't do so awesome. Stephon Diggs did catch a touchdown. Rashad White, I'm not super pumped about anymore. I actually just dropped him for Sam Laporta that someone had to let go of for the bye week. Pinheiro, The Kansas City Chiefs did great. And so I picked up RJ Harvey as well, and he boomed. I don't know when I can start him, but he's on my team. So that was the game. Pedro should have won last week. He lost to me this week. He's got a 2-week losing streak. He's 3-5, but his team is good, and Lamar Jackson is coming back. So I think he can get back to 500.
Go Pedro.
Yeah, man. It's his first time playing fantasy in a long time, but again, like he did everything I would have done. Like I didn't want to give him any advice, but he started all the correct players, made all the right moves, and he was one position away from beating me. So again, like a formidable opponent. I was really happy with what he did. My team just ended up edging it out with a few people showing up, like Kelsey having a monster game. So you never know with fantasy football.
Dude, it's when luck meets skill, right?
It is. It's 100% that. It's some skill, but luck comes into it. So speaking of regrets, we're ready for Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda here on the Color Commentary Podcast. And so I'll start, J-Mar. My coulda is I coulda traded Rico Dowdle for Jaden Waddle, and I didn't. And then Jaden Waddle has a fantastic game. So I don't know what to do with my Rico Dowdle. I love the guy. I think he should be the starting running back. And I held on to him because I wanted to start him again this week and next week. But I just don't think that owner's going to trade me anymore now that he boomed.
Obviously, I think Rico Dowdle is somebody that a lot of people root for because he was kind of discarded by the Cowboys unceremoniously, and he had that pretty awesome game against them. And he seems to be doing well. They just need to get him the ball. Come on, Carol. Come on, Panthers. Get him the ball.
Just give my man Rico's Roughnecks the ball. So like I'm going back to that owner. I'm like, would you still do it? And I have to ask myself, like, is that really what I want to do? Is that just a fluke game? So we'll see. I woulda kept Tyrone Tracy on my bench, but I didn't because I dropped him for Schultz of all people, a tight end that I didn't need because I already had Fannin on my bench. I looked at what Cam Scatterboo was doing, and I was like, this guy's a machine. Tyrone Tracy's out. I can pick him back up later, and guess what? I can't because now he's a starting running back. So I had a hunch that Scatterboo could get hurt because of how he plays, and to be fair, it had nothing to do with how he played. He went to catch a ball, and the corner just tackled him in such a way that he just ripped his foot off. So it wasn't like Scatterboo being risky or anything. It was just a crazy bad luck tackle, and now his foot needs to be reattached to his leg.
This goes back to something that I was kind of preaching about the earlier episodes of this podcast, which is I've been practicing a lot of patience this year because I feel like, these things sometimes, look, players are going to have a bad week, and sometimes players will go down. And sometimes it's just the unpredictability of the thing. So it's just a fine line. It's like tennis, right? You hit the ball too hard, it goes out of bounds. You hit the ball too soft, it doesn't pass over the net. So fantasy football, in some way, I'm trying to find the zen aspect of it where I'm not trying to be too jumpy and making rash decisions, and I'm not trying to be too coy and not being able to make the decisions when you need to make them, right? And I was lucky with pulling the the Buccaneers defense out of waivers last week, and they were the reason why I won the game. Really, if my defense didn't score 33 points, I probably would have lost that week. Look, it happens, man. Sometimes like getting rid of Tyrone Tracy's a bummer, but it happens, man.
I commend myself for having the right thought process. He was a high value running back. We saw him do great last year, and all it would take is an injury. But also, like, he might just be a bye-week replacement running back, like he might get a touchdown he did the week before. I saw that old magic. I had the right thought process, but I just didn't trust Fannin. So that's my next shoulda. I shoulda started Fannin. I had him already, and I didn't because guess what? Njoku came back. And so in my head, I'm thinking too much. If Njoku comes back, he's not going to have the same role. I better put Dalton Schultz in, who did great the week before. I was chasing points. I psyched myself out, and I could have just went with Fannin. Fannin's not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to have this role. He's really more a wideout 3 on that team than he is a tight end, and Njoku is more of a traditional tight end. So if you have Fannin, I'm starting him from now on. Like, I'm not playing the guessing game anymore. He's just going to stay in my tight end spot. I don't have anyone better, and Schultz is just not the same player. So had I kept Fannin, I would have kept Tyrone Tracy, and I'd be in a great spot with running backs because they're hard to come by right now with all these injuries.
100%, brother. 100%, man.
J-Mar, what are your coulda, woulda, shouldas?
Oh, man. So I made reference to all of these earlier in the program, so it's all foreshadowing what's happening. I could have dropped Mark Andrews a long time ago because I just had not happy with his production. But lo and behold, here I am in week 9. Is it week 9? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, week 9.
Oh, my gosh. Whew.
Halfway through the NFL season, more than halfway through the fantasy season.
So here we are, week 9. He's still on my team, and he's on my team probably at the right time because Cade Otton, who is now in a bit of a starring role in Tampa Bay with all the injuries they've had to all their wide receivers, is on a bye this week. So in steps Mark Andrews, in steps Lamar Jackson. So we'll see if it's his turn to get back on track. I could have dropped Mark Andrews, but I'm glad I didn't because here we are in a very important week of fantasy and in real life football. So hopefully Mark Andrews can get back on track. We'll see.
100%. I mean, I was stoked about the guy. I actually thought I should have picked him up, and he hasn't had a great season. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that Lamar Jackson is hurt. Lamar Jackson should be suiting up for this Thursday night game versus the Dolphins, and it should be a high-scoring affair by the Ravens, though the Dolphins surprised everybody and blanked out the Falcons last week. So you never know week to week, but this should be a get-right game for so many players on the Ravens, like a Zay Flowers and a Mark Andrews. They have that connection. He's a red zone guy, so I think he is a good start this week, and then you'll feel better about having him on your team.
And, right now, Baltimore is 2-5. If we would have, had a time machine and gone back a year ago today, and it's like, what? Baltimore's 2-5? It just doesn't seem real because they have been dominating the AFC North for so long. So we'll see. I think this is they're coming off a bye, and I'm sure their coach Harbaugh is just like, like either we turn this ship around now or it ain't happening. So they got to do it. So it's a must-win situation for them.
Every week is must win. And he said that recently in an interview. So that's what they're playing with. Every week they have to win. And I think that energy is what beat my Bears last week. It's like, hey, man, who wants it more? We beat you with Tyler Huntley, and that was the game. And the Bears are looking as shaky as they always do. So, yeah, I think that some players seem like a waste to have on your bench, but it's every week it's different. It's matchups. It's believing in the connections players have. And so if you stick to that, I think you will get rewarded for it. Let's hear your shoulda, J-Mar. What's your shoulda?
I should have dropped Jerry Jeudy a long time ago. That's what I should have done. No offense to Judy and the Judy family, it's just his production has been pretty bad lately. He's miraculously still on my team, and maybe I'm just holding out on maybe the hope that Shadur Sanders is going to step in and he'll have a magical connection with Judy. However, if I see somebody on the waiver wire that I think would be an appropriate swap out, I'm going to do it because he's been on my team for too long at this point.
There are some players that you should hold out hope for, and it'll pay off in some ways. And Jerry Jeudy just seems to be not that player. Unless Shador Sanders comes in and gunslings it, it just seemed like he works well with those risky, high-passing quarterbacks. And we had that with Jameis Winston last year. We don't have it yet on anyone with the Browns. It just looks like another lost season for them. In some ways, they have great running back in Quinshon Judkins, but their quarterback is just okay. They let go of Joe Flacco, and he's doing great in the Bengals. So, J-Mar, I get it, man. Like, Jerry Jeudy was someone we were both hyped on, and it was a dud.
Remember when Cleveland had Baker Mayfield as their starting quarterback, and he upset Pittsburgh in the playoffs to get the Browns farther than they've ever gotten in the last recent memory ever? Oh my gosh, that's a team that look, I'm a Raiders fan, so it's not like it's that much better, but if I was a Browns fan, I'd be pretty upset at the world.
You even looking at Tampa Bay and go, we could have had that. Like, the guy's making magic with so much injuries happening now. To be fair, the last 2 weeks haven't been great, but he is the difference maker. If his team gets healthier, I think better times are ahead. But they just missed on the talent, right? Like, we've seen that now twice with different quarterbacks. We're seeing that over in Seattle and Sam Darnold, and he's doing better there than he did in Minnesota, and Minnesota is sitting in 3-4. So they let him go, and they bet on JJ McCarthy. Now, injuries did change the narrative there, but it just seemed like sometimes if someone's clutch, do you let him go? I don't think so.
Word him up. Preach.
So we did coulda, we did shoulda. I think we're down to your woulda.
Down to my woulda. Now that I just did that, we should bank like a whole bunch of like just responses just in case they want to use them in post. Like, me being like, preach.
Mm-hmm. We could do our response takes for sure.
We ass, bro.
We ass. My favorite. They're still ass, by the way.
Oh, so bad.
Tennessee continues to be ass. And my strategy's been starting either anyone against Tennessee or anyone against the Raiders, and they've done pretty well.
At this point, it's a miracle that the Raiders beat Tennessee. I'm still like, what? We did? Wow, great. All right. Woulda? What would I done?
Yes, what would have you done?
I mentioned this earlier. I would have drafted a different backup quarterback other than Caleb Williams.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, it breaks your heart, but you know what? Just look at the stats, bro. He just, laying duds all over the place, unfortunately, and hopefully he proves me wrong this week and has a great game against Cincinnati, and he's projected to score 24 points. That's pretty good, but look, he didn't do really well against the Raiders. He didn't do really well against New Orleans. He actually did pretty good against Dallas. He did against Minnesota, okay against Washington, but yeah, even the game against Baltimore, it's just shaky, man. No TDs, one interception. He hasn't thrown a touchdown since Washington in Week 6. So look, it's Week 9. He's up against the Bengals defense, which people can rip through. So hopefully the football gods are going to bless my woulda Caleb Williams with some good stats this week, so he can produce for me.
I think he's going to bounce back, to be honest. Like, the Baltimore Ravens are a better defense than the year has shown. They had a lot of injuries. Roquan Smith was back, and so it was a must-win for them. I never would have said the Bears are going to win this game, except for the fact that Lamar Jackson was hurt and that they were 1-5. They lose 16-30, and like you said, he hasn't thrown a touchdown since Week 6, but this is still quarterback 8 for the season, so he's still a top 10 quarterback. He has the mojo and the magic. He has the players, and he's got a great coach. And so will they do better than the Jets? Yeah. And the Jets did fantastic. So wheels up for me, man. Like, I think Caleb Williams is a great start. And I don't know who else is better on the waiver wire if you can find it. So I'm excited for us, J-Mar. I hope I'm not eating my words next week.
This is the week for him to earn it, right? You know, like if he's gonna, at least for me, speaking me personally, right? Like for me to eat my words next week and say, oh man, of course I should have always had Caleb Williams as my backup quarterback. You know, this is the week for me to say, all right, maybe I did, maybe my instinct was right when I did pick him.
It was, and it was great for this week. Like the pairing of Jalen Hurts and Caleb Williams is fantastic. He's got a great matchup, and then he could just go back to sleep. He's just on your bench. I'm always starting Jalen Hurts, even if I'm tempted not to, because of all of the things we've seen, right? Like whenever there's been doubts, he just puts up almost 30 points. So I have no doubts in Jalen Hurts. This is just my difficult week without him, and hopefully we're lucky and he performs almost as good as a Jalen Hurts this week. So wheels up, man. I'm excited. I hope my Bears, continue. Like, they have to win this game. And because there aren't many gimme games after this, their division is tough.
Yeah, so tough.
J-Mar, I'm ready to look week 9 in the face and tell it I'm gonna win. So let's preview some games. Up first, we have our favorite matchup between Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Can Josh Allen beat them in the regular season and become a playoff hopeful and beat them most likely again in the playoffs? He seems to do great in the regular season, but for some reason the playoffs are out of his reach.
Oh my gosh. And that's why everybody's just so sick of seeing, Taylor Swift and Kelsey Swift and Jason Swift.
Swifts.
All the Swifts, yeah. I mean, like, geez. Look, I got Buffalo winning this game, and it's partly because I can't stand the Kansas City Chiefs. So there's that bias that I bring into it. But I do feel it should be a close game. Kansas City's just playing really inspired football lately. They've been looking good the last couple weeks, so I feel like a lot of people sort of unceremoniously wrote them off when they had a bit of a tough start to the year. Rashee Rice is back. This is a game that Kansas City could easily win. They're favored by 2 points. Kansas City is, so Vegas sees them winning. I see Buffalo winning this game. I just feel like they're coming off a bye. They're a little bit fresher, and they're at home. And look, I mean, when these two teams play, there's kind of like a unspoken bad blood between them. So it's going to be another war, and I am looking forward to watching that game.
The crowd has the Chiefs winning, Vegas has the Chiefs winning, and I have the Chiefs winning. They're just getting good at the right time. All the pieces are falling into place, and they just don't even seem to need a starting running back, right? They have Hunt, who's 30, and he gets the touchdowns. And if you have him, good luck. He might score 30 points or 6. Like, good luck. Who knows with Brashard Smith? He may get more touches this week without Isaiah Pacheco. He may or may not play, but the Bills just don't have the same type of depth, right? Like, we haven't seen a whiteout one emerge. Their defense is suspect. They lost games that they should have won. And so we're kind of seeing the opposite, right? Like, as Kansas City rises, Buffalo is falling. Buffalo needs to win this game. Winning this game puts them in contention for the top seed in their own division, with the Patriots surging. They may not even get out of their division as the winner the way that Drake May is playing. So this is a must-win game for them. They could win. It's going to come down to James Cook and how awesome he is, and he seems to be carrying the team right now. Allen is on my ESPN league, and I've been okay with him, right? Like, he's great, but he hasn't been doing as well as a Jalen Hurts. He hasn't been doing as well as a Patrick Mahomes. So, like, I'm hoping he smashes. I hope he becomes the hero, but it may not be him to become the hero in this one. It may be James Cook wearing the cape. Our next match of preview is Denver Broncos versus the Houston Texans. And so, as you can see, it started in the Broncos' favor and has faded towards the Houston Texans. What's going on? It looks like a low-scoring game. I believe this is because a Mr. Patrick Surtain is injured. That juggernaut at corner has everyone freaking out, and now Houston is favored. J-Mar, I mean, this team confuses me. The Texans have a great defense, Everyone sort of believes in CJ Stroud, which means they don't believe in CJ Stroud. I have Nico Collins on one of my leagues, and I hope he comes back and scores touchdowns. We have Bo Nix that looked like a complete failure until the fourth quarter of the Giants game, where he scored 4 all-purpose touchdowns. What is going on with this team? J-Mar, what are your thoughts?
It's a Denver at 6-2 going up against Houston 3-4. I don't know how you bet against Denver in this game, but Houston is 1.5 favorites in Vegas right now, and maybe that has to do with, that dominating defense that they have, and also that they were able to quell the Niners pretty well last week. It should be a tough game, right? I mean, Houston's got the home field advantage as well, too. I am taking the Broncos. Denver's on a mean streak right now, and they look pretty good doing it. They had that miraculous win 2 weeks ago where they just scored like 28 points in the fourth quarter against the Giants. And last week, I mean, they really blew the lid off of Dallas. I just feel like they keep it rolling, and that they beat Houston this week and defy Vegas and the odds.
I think they will. This could be more than 40 points, right? Like, this could be a higher scoring affair, but we don't know. These are supposed to be 2 great defenses, but again, Patrick Surtain is out. J.K. Dobbins is doing great. He's having a great year, and I hope it continues. This guy had a really bad injury early in his career, but he's rushing for 100 yards almost every game, and they have RJ Harvey catching touchdowns like it's just easy peasy lemon squeezy. So I'm excited for the Denver Broncos. They're a great team to watch. The Texans aren't as good. They're playing a lot of ugly games, but they're winning, and so best of luck to them. I do believe this is a Broncos game, even though Patrick Surtain is out. I believe that the defense is good enough to stop a Texans offense that, again, just doesn't have great depth. Woody Marks might show up and win this game, but who knows? Like, it's in Houston. Anything can happen. J-Mar, I agree that the Broncos still have the edge. Okay, for this one, I got to put on my best Chicago voice and tell you that the Bears are playing against the Bengals. What is going on with my Bears? Caleb Williams, what gives? Some days he's God, and some days he's not so great. So I believe a couple of bratwursts in them, and they're going to beat the Bengals, especially if a Joe Flacco doesn't show up. Who's Joe Flacco but a guy who won the Super Bowl 14 years ago? I could have won the Super Bowl 14 years ago. So, hey, what gives? The Bears win 64-9, all field goals. It's going to be a good day for the Chicago, Illinois team.
Awesome. Oh, man, that makes me want to eat hot dogs, bro.
Our hot dog cast. You still owe me a hot dog, by the way.
Oh, let's do it, dude. Yeah, let's for your birthday, we'll figure.
Birthday hot dog.
Birthday hot dog.
At Carney's.
Yeah, Carney's is the jam for sure. I like Carney's for sure. All right, we'll make a plan.
So we both have Caleb Williams, right? That's the stakes. Like, you were complaining about him earlier. We're looking at passing yards. Obviously Joe Flacco has been doing good of late, but we still got Caleb Williams with 9 touchdowns, 1,600 passing yards. He's probably going to hit the 4,000 mark. We have Swift. We have Odunze, both questionable. So that could change everything. I didn't realize that Odunze was questionable.
I mean, look, I think it's going to be a potentially high-scoring game. I'm hoping that Caleb Williams goes off and that he has several points. I just have Cincinnati winning this game. They got the home field advantage. They are a little bit of a different team with Flacco, and they started off so well against the Jets, and then the gas just ran out and the defense just sputtered. In fact, that's something that made headlines this week, too, is that immediately a day after that game, the head of the department at Cincinnati defense all had a private meeting with one another. And so I think they had that moment where you just stare each other in the eye, you ask for accountability, and I think that this week they get it together. That means that they just have to score points. So look, from the fantasy side, yes, I want Caleb Williams to have a Buffalo game, but I think that Cincinnati squeaks out like a Shooter McPherson field goal to win the game or something like that. So
don't break my artery clogged heart, J-Mar. This team has got a lot of heart. I could give him mine. Hopefully he could pump a few more liters of blood and they'll come out winners. DeAndre Swift's looking great. And we got the Ben Johnson, which is starting to remind me of my Mr. Mike Ditka. If he just grows a mustache, I think this team is unstoppable. And so here we are, J-Mar. I do believe the Bears win it. It's not as close as you might think. I think I'll change my score from 64 to 48-9. All field goals by the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean they've managed to win some games this year, so so that's good for Chicago. I mean, a 5-3 record is our 4-3 record is good, but we'll see what happens, man.
J-Mar, let me just start by saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your Raiders are disappointing you so much. Against the Jacksonville Jaguars, it looks like a pretty competitive game. They're not too stoked. It looks like it's within a field goal with the Raiders. This could be one of those games that surprises everybody, like the Dolphins did, last week against the Atlanta Falcons. So do you see an upset here?
I don't.
That's simple.
We're terrible. Jacksonville's defense is decent enough that they could just, turn off the, Ashton Genty and just our offense just hasn't had. Brock Bowers hasn't had the same production with Geno Smith at the helm. Our wide receivers want to jump ship. It's been disastrous season so far for Las Vegas and Jacksonville. Look, they've had some pretty bad losses as of late. Gosh, man, and they're both, look, Vegas and Jacksonville are coming off the bye week, so they're both going to have the same whatever jinx or advantage. Sometimes it's a jinx coming off the bye week, sometimes it's an advantage. So at least they're both coming off from common ground. I just gosh, the Raiders are so bad, dude. I don't see us winning this game, unfortunately, but I would be pleasantly surprised and happy if we did. So money, I'm taking Jacksonville. Heart, I'm taking the Raiders.
Jacoby Myers is widely believed to be on the trading block. Trey Tucker has done very well in replace of a wideout one. Brian Thomas Jr. has disappeared, and Travis Hunter has come up to look like the wideout run. Travis Etienne started hot and went cold. Trevor Lawrence will forever be the pendulum swing. Great, then bad, great, then bad. And so, J-Mar, Trevor Lawrence is available still on a lot of waiver wires. I'm just wondering, would you rather start Trevor Lawrence than Caleb Williams this week?
Tough question, man. I think that they're both sort of on the same tier. It just who's got the better matchup, right? Cincinnati's defense is supposedly going to give up a lot of points. Look, the Raiders can show up, right? The Raiders did pretty decently against Caleb Williams when they played. And look, if you're able to get in his face and create a little chaos, then you have to find different ways to win, which the Raiders usually gift their opponents, finding a different way to win other than the normal ways. So that's a coin toss, man. Look, I feel like if you got either Trevor Lawrence or Caleb Williams on your team this week, they're going to score you points. So, look, knock on wood, the same thing doesn't happen to Caleb Williams, what happened in New Orleans, where he only scored like 6 points. But yeah, I feel like he will have learned from his lessons, and that this will be the week that Caleb Williams, performs to the way how he performed against Dallas and Minnesota this year.
I agree that it's a coin toss. I think it comes down to how much upside are you looking for. Caleb offers way more upside than Trevor Lawrence, but I think Lawrence will be more steady. So if you're looking for 15 to 20, Trevor Lawrence. If you're looking for 20 plus, I would bank on Caleb Williams. And of course, that volatility comes with a price. Caleb Williams could also score 10 points. So we never know. So it just depends on your matchups. Best of luck to you if you're making a quarterback decision, especially if you don't have Jalen Hurts this week.
Well, let's revisit this in our next podcast, because I think that's an interesting little thing that we could talk about next week. Is that who had the better game, Caleb versus the Bengals or Lawrence versus the Raiders?
We'll come back to it next week. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of our podcast for this week. Good luck in week 9. I know that some of our teams need it. If you are 500, I'm hoping you pull in a win and become 5-4. J-Mar, what is your biggest competition this week?
Oh my gosh. I mean, myself, right? Like hopefully Drake London can get back from injury so I can have a decent starting wide receiver to contend against my opponent. And my opponent's got a pretty decent team. So I need my guys to show up big time.
I love how you said that. That is so wise. We are basically playing against ourselves and our decisions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. The word is getting out. This is the place to come to have fun, learn about fantasy football, and to strategize and beat your opponents. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you come back next week. We have so much more to talk about.